Hey, Raquel, how are you?
Hi.
Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
This is
I'm
Paul
Mark.
Strasser, Mark Pisano.
Hi.
So, are we good, Steve? Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. We're going to get this on Spanish TV. We're hoping. And my Spanish is más o menos, more or less, so we got Raquel. So I want you guys to tell her the story, and then she can hear it, and then later on she can translate it. So I don't know if we start, because you actually saw her first, and then Mark jumped in the water, so you can tell
I want to
her.
explain how this whole evening came about to
Sure,
why we
dude,
found
go
her,
ahead.
or how
Yeah.
we found her.
Yeah.
And you just let me know.
I was telling Philip it almost had like a supernatural thing to it because we wouldn't have been at the island that late. If we would have left normally, we probably wouldn't have left from that island, that end of the island.
yeah.
That's another thing. And
A lot of things happened.
And we were the last boat coming home. So, and I was telling Philip, so I tried to search her. Her name's Desiree Rodriguez about maybe 2-3 years ago.
Try to find her?
Yeah, just to see if she was, still in the area, and there was literally 90 or 100 Desiree Rodriguez's that came up.
Common name.
Common
Yeah,
name.
right?
Even in LA, there was like 30 in Long Beach.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. I mean, it was a lot. There was a lot. I don't remember the exact. But anyway, so someone that heard our podcast
Whose phone is that?
knew her
Oh.
and reached out to her and gave us her contact. And my wife sent her a message, and she messaged us back.
Really?
She's got 3 or 4 kids.
Well, we got to
She's
find
married.
her someday.
I know,
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be great. I think.
Be a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
So let's tell
40 years. I mean, she's 41 now.
let's tell Raquel the story.
Okay, so you want to hear the story from
And
Yeah.
stay on
from the
that
start.
thing, Plus Strasser. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to talk in. These are a little
Yeah.
different than the radio show.
Okay, wait 1 second. Okay. All right, the afternoon of May 19th, 1987, we were fishing the backside of Catalina Island. And it was an area of the island where we normally don't fish that late in the day, but around 2 in the afternoon, we anchored up on a rock called Sentinel Rock, which is on the backside in the middle of the island. And the yellowtail started to bite. We were looking for yellowtail all day long, and we started catching these 12 to 15 pound yellowtail. And so we said, well, we're going to sit for a while. And around 3:15, I think around 3 to 3:15, I can't remember exact time.
That's late for you guys.
That's
too.
Yeah,
late.
no, it was after 3:30 because that time of
3:30?
year it
Yeah.
was still light when we left the island, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was. I remember on the way home, it was starting. Well, you can see from the picture, it was still pretty daylight.
Yeah.
Well, so when we finally left, 3:30, I think probably 3:30ish, we knew it was late. It was time to go home. And where Sentinel Rock is located, it's either 50-50. Do I go west or do I go east to go home? And I said, let's just go west because coming home from the west, from the island, is a much better travel going home. And so we went through the west end of the island. We're coming home, and I'm just guessing probably 6-7 miles off the island going towards LA Lighthouse. And 2 of my good friends were in the wheelhouse. We're talking away, and I looked down where the boat was going one direction towards the lighthouse, and I remember looking a little bit off to the right, around 45 degrees to the right, downwind. I saw a white object, and I thought, well, this might be a bumper or something that we find in the water, and we like to, you
Maybe debris.
Yeah,
something
debris,
floating.
something. So I got the binoculars out and I looked, and right then I took the autopilot, put the autopilot towards what I'm looking at, and I have the binoculars looking at this object, and as we're getting closer to it, I notice a point, like a bow. And I go, that's not what I thought it was. And as we're getting closer, I could see like a little like a whitish silhouette in the water, because the water was really blue. And I'm thinking to myself, so right away I grabbed the PA and I go, Mark, stand by. We might need you to jump in the water. We don't know I'm on to something here. This is something that just shouldn't be here. So at the time, I think Mark was cleaning fish, and all of a sudden, I think they're getting I don't know what happened exactly on down.
I
on
came up
deck.
to the wheelhouse, and we were still a ways from it, and we looked.
Yeah.
And saw it was something
not
different.
Yeah. So as we pull up to the object, right away, it was the bow of a boat, and we saw. I had everybody. Then we just idled up to it. And we saw 2 bodies face down.
No, there was one body at the boat. Remember, because we found the other girl.
Oh, floating halfway.
There was one. I'm 6 days younger than him, so I have much better memory. Actually, we're 6 days apart. Really, that's true. So Anyway, but no, there was the one body we first found. We did find two bodies.
It was
but
tangled
at
up
first
in the
there was-
line, the rope. And they grabbed the rope, and it passed away. And right away they go, "We have, it's dead." I said, "I understand." So right away I knew no one's seen this the whole day. So I grabbed the binoculars and I started scanning. Right away I got on the Coast Guard. Coast Guard is vessel first string. And
Is that a heavily traveled route
Yes.
for boats?
for the most
For most
part.
part?
For the most part, we were coming home very late at day, in the evening. So, but it's not on the ferry routes. In other words, the ferry
okay.
routes would be to Avalon. We were on the west end of the island, which is the opposite end of the island to Avalon.
Okay.
So it's less traveled.
Okay.
But there are some boats that go toward the isthmus, but still, it's not the same track line.
Yeah.
It's about
But
what,
it's primarily
15,
going to be like
15
fishing
degrees.
boats that you
Mainly
guys were on?
fishing, yeah.
Okay.
So right away, I grabbed the binoculars. After I'm on the Coast Guard, talking to the Coast Guard, going to my position, what I just found, and I have to keep looking, so I can't be on the radio. I put the radio down. I looked. I saw an orange object out in the distance and a brown spot above the orange life jacket. And I said, "We got something here. This one might be, 'cause we just found a dead body. One might be alive." And right away, we ran to that direction, and then Mark, he ran downstairs, and we just idled up to it, and we have a picture here, and it was a live girl we found.
And how far away was she from?
She was a little bit of ways, huh?
Yeah, she was at least a mile from the boat.
Yeah,
Reaching out to the girl.
that's a live picture right there.
Pretty incredible, huh?
Yeah, very incredible.
Yep. Can you get a picture of the first string? It's around the corner. And so we pulled up. Mark jumped in the water. We grabbed the girl, got her on the boat, and then by that time now the Coast Guard's almost on the
I think
scene.
the picture's below that.
They forgot about me in the water.
Oh yeah, well, Mark's
So I'm
in the water.
Yeah. And I'm looking up and I don't see anybody. I'm like,
They're leaving?
You're like, what
60
about
degree water.
me?
We're not leaving.
I'm in my underwear. I go,
Someone
hey.
gonna help me out of the water?
So they grabbed me and pulled me out. Of course, my underwear went off in the water. I'm
But so we got the girl on the boat, and then Mark obviously.
And then they remember to
Yeah,
get Mark on the boat.
Oh, I mean, a lot of stuff was going on. The Coast Guard's running through at full speed, almost ran over the second body that we found. It was like a little bit of a scene going on, but it was all good.
How
I mean,
long
not
were
good,
you guys
but-
there from the time you guys, I guess, saw the first?
Well, I know
Part
from,
of the wreckage
from the
and-
pictures, it was completely dark when we got in.
Yeah, we've got it.
So let's say we were an hour from the. I mean, this all happened maybe an hour before dark or an hour and a half before dark.
Okay.
So we were probably out there an hour because the Coast Guard came out and they put 2 medics on the boat, and right away we started treating her for hypothermia. And
Okay.
that's pretty much. I remember she wasn't fat, but she had baby fat on her. She's 9 years old, so she still had her baby fat, which probably was one of the reasons she was still alive.
Because you said when you went in the water, it was shocking. Like
Oh yeah,
almost-
I jumped in the water. It was like when you jump in ice cold water.
Yeah.
Yes, takes your breath
it takes
away.
your breath away, and then I told Philip, I opened my eyes, and all you see is this dark, deep blue. And you're like, you get that
Eerie
funny
feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of deep water dives. Now I was telling me I've done a lot of diving, so now it's not a big deal. But how old were we? 23, 86. Was it 86?
24, probably. April,
23?
That was 24.
Yeah,
We're
wow.
April. It happened in
This
May.
guy was
May of
actually a
87.
handsome guy in those days, Well, he looks like
Yeah,
Tom
you guys
Cruise,
were-
doesn't he?
yeah.
So do you have any questions before we move on?
That was the boat.
that you'd
That-
like to
that-
ask these
That's the
guys?
boat that found her.
Yeah, that was
That was the first
boat.
string.
Okay.
That was one that we ran at the time. What you see here, we have things from the mayor, we have things from the county of LA, city of LA, Mayor Tom Bradley's office. We had, and then a lot of newspaper articles and things that we brought along that we saved, believe it or not.
Wow, that's so great that you guys were able to do that. And you guys haven't even had any contact other than obviously you said the message from your wife.
How many years ago was that? Now we're like 96.
30-something? 38?
Yeah, 30. No, not
30.
quite 30. So
87.
86. 35 years.
96, 96.
Boys, I want
Yeah.
to tell you something, okay? Do you mind if I say something to you? You guys are heroes, right? This is not a translator. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. Who are you?
I'm Desiree.
Oh my God.
I would say it's 35 years ago.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Thanks.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Oh, fuck. Well, you got me on this one. You got me on this, Denver. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, Denver. It's been so many years. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Definitely has been a long time. Thanks, Phil.
Oh my God, Phil, how the hell did you do this?
I'm so happy to make this
world.
happen.
It's a small world. I have an old coworker I work with. His name's Pablo, and
Pablo
he
Peña.
knows Pablo. And Pablo knew a little bit of my story for the brief time that we worked together. And then I guess he heard the podcast recently that you did, and you mentioned my name, and he kind of just put two and two together and realized it was me that you were talking about.
Holy shit. I had no
You got me on this
clue.
one, man.
I had no clue.
That was the idea.
I didn't ever, years ago, I always thought, but, you know, I mean, life goes on. And, you know, I thought maybe, you know, after this, we might be able to see Desiree. Because, you know, it just, you know, damn.
Do you guys have any questions for one another? Or, I mean, this is such a beautiful moment for everybody.
I'm kind of in shock.
I know you are. I can see that, man.
I mean,
over the years, I've always kind of wondered kind of how things happen from the rescuer standpoint, but I never knew who was involved. You know, I think I maybe only have 2 newspaper clippings, and there's limited information. It doesn't have your names in there. So I didn't really know, as I've gotten older as an adult, I didn't know where I could troubleshoot and how to find out who was there. And then, you know, this came
well,
about.
I mean, you were 9 years old. I remember, right? That was, and you know,
right before I turned 10 in July, so I was 9.
do you remember anything about, like, because you know, we talked to investigators, insurance people for years after. I mean, I got a call 3 years after that from an investigator that was still from one of the insurance companies, like
About
trying
the
to
boat.
figure things out, like, because what I remember about that day, it was really super foggy.
Yes, it
In
was.
the morning, yes, at night.
Yeah, because the accident happened in the evening. Well, on our way back from Catalina, we always made a regular trip out there. It was our family boat, so we went at least once to twice a month. We would even sometimes just fish off San Pedro. We would always dock out here. My dad loved fishing with my grandpa, and we would go. On this one particular trip, though, we took my aunt and uncle with us and left their kids behind. Lo and behold, we were supposed to take their kids too, but we didn't. And then we always made a point to leave before it got too dark. So I think if I recall, my dad said, okay, it's time to head out, go back. And it was probably around maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yeah,
No, at night.
In the evening.
Going home.
That we chose
So-
to come home.
Wow, so you weren't.
You're in the water a long time.
Yeah. The accident happened shortly after that. So
Oh,
it happened during the dark hours. I want to say maybe we were traveling no more than an hour
Yep.
in the boat
So you were in the water for
Long
overnight until you guys found me
holy.
the next day.
I don't even know how you survived.
So
That was my only biggest. I was always trying to put the whole scene in perspective. What time did they leave the island? How did they crash? How long was Desiree in the water? I mean, because there's always a mystery to me.
yeah, because my aunt had even mentioned that my grandparents, because we lived right across the street from my grandparents, so my dad stored the boat at my grandparents' house. They have a nice big up the driveway where we would store it, and they knew something was wrong when we went back, and it was already dark because we would have already been back home. So they immediately.
You know what's weird is they didn't put they didn't put any missing. You know, like the Coast Guard will make a call like, you know, overdue vessel or missing vessel but we never heard anything. Well, we were on the backside of the island, so you know the reception. VHF
or unless
is
my
so
grandparents. I mean, they both since passed, so I don't know. I don't know that they even thought to maybe
You saw this.
make a call.
You saw these pictures. You on the news point. That's
I
you.
remember vividly, like the news, like being
Yeah.
at my grandparents' house when they brought me home for the first time because we lived right across the street from them. and we were going to my grandparents' house up the driveway. So I remember a whole bunch of cameras and stuff, and seeing bits and pieces of segments on the news. But then my grandma would turn it off because she didn't want me getting upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, that night, you know, it happened. It was dark. I know you mentioned the insurance company tried to figure out what happened. We never really, from what I gathered, my aunt said, because there was a long-going dispute with the insurance company. They were trying to say the accident happened in Mexico waters, and my aunt's like, no, they went to Catalina. I guess where the boat had drifted, it had kind of drifted close to Mexico waters or something.
You were 100 miles from the border.
Or they were trying to say that.
Well, that would get some off the hook.
Yeah,
insurance
and that's what they were trying to basically do.
Do you have any recollection of being in the water so long?
Yes.
And how was it terrifying? What was that like?
I was so young. I don't know that I was scared.
I got a question. Did you go to sleep on the boat, and did your mom put you in a life jacket?
No, we were already in a life jacket. So we were underneath.
So you had life jackets on?
Yeah,
all the
my
time.
sister and I we already had our life jackets on. My mom and my aunt were underneath with us because it was a double decker. My dad was initially driving the boat from underneath, but I guess he couldn't see, so he said, I'm going to go up top and man the boat, because up top he also had a steering wheel. So he went up there with my uncle. Probably within 15, 20 minutes, he says, we have to get out of the boat's capsizing. And we basically give us a direction, go out the right side, because we could feel it was already going this way.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And we had the windows, so my sister and I went through. I didn't see how anyone else got out, because I just got her and I out. And then when we came up, then I saw everybody, and by then the boat was already capsized, and we were just all kind of floating around the boat, basically.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
So you initially were all near the boat,
Yeah.
and you all had life jackets on?
No, just my sister and I did.
Just your sister?
Mhm.
Yeah, because the person we first found, I don't know, if it was your mother or your aunt.
I believe that was my mom you guys found first.
Because it looked like she had fastened her. She was tied close to the boat, like she had a rope on. Like, in other words, using the boat for
Yeah,
flotation.
no, I did that because during the night, so my dad was the first to, as an adult, you now look back, you're like, okay, that's silly of him, but my dad was the first to go and say, I'm going to go and swim for help.
Oh, wow.
You can't see anything out there. It was pitch black. I mean, you could see the moon, but that was about it. But there's no landmarks you could see, like, where are you going to swim to? Now that, and as an adult, I can think of those things. And I think he just wanted to try to
Do anything.
yes,
Good. Yeah.
because, if not, we're just going to.
So when it got
No
daylight,
hair.
it was foggy. In other words, you couldn't really see around you too much.
I didn't see daylight that I can recall until like what I would equate to about noon or 1 o'clock
Yeah.
here.
It was foggy that day.
In the morning, it was
Yeah.
so thick gray, and I can remember vividly hearing the sound of loud, sound like foghorns or
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
boat horns.
You were
I
in the-
remember that.
Does the
I
West
can
End have
remember
that?
hearing
Well,
that.
no, but they were in the transit lane.
Oh.
The ship.
You
I thought-
can't
I thought
hear.
hit a
You
ship. I thought hit a
couldn't
ship.
see anything
Yeah.
because it was just so thick, but I could hear. And by that time, the morning time came, like deep in the morning when it was still really like the fog was thick. My mom was the first to pass. She just started foaming at the mouth.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And as a child,
Yeah.
I know what's happening, but I don't know
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
or how, or
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I didn't see her drink water,
Yeah.
so I don't know how that even happened to her. But I remember my aunt telling me, tie her off to the boat so she doesn't float away from us. So that's what I did. I used, I don't know, whatever rope that was,
Yeah.
so that way she could stay nearby. And then my sister was the next to pass, my little sister. I did the same with her.
She was in a life jacket.
She was in a life jacket.
That might have been the second person we
They
found.
never found her,
Yeah.
No,
which is surprising.
And then I remember it being daylight, like sunny and beautiful. And then it was just my aunt and my uncle and myself left. And then my aunt and I think we were just delirious. I don't know. We were just laughing and talking. Like when we get rescued, we're going to go to a hotel, and watch TV and get all warm and cozy under the blankets and order room service. I think because we were just trying to keep our minds off of what was really happening. And then my uncle, I don't know, he just kind of gave up. He just basically swam away from the boat. And he's like, I just don't want to be here anymore, basically. And then my aunt was like, go get him. Don't let him. Because she already knew, like, he was just going to let himself drown. And that's pretty much what he did. I tried to hold him up, but he was, like, pulling me down. Because he was a pretty big guy. So just with his dead weight, I couldn't hold on to him. So I had to let him go. And he just eventually went under the water.
Oh, my God. It's horrible.
And then I think at that time I just got really, I don't know if I was just so tired. I don't know the full details of my aunt passing, but I remember her passing, but not very vividly. Like, I don't know. I don't remember her like my mom. I vividly remember my mom foaming at the mouth. I don't remember my aunt doing that. And I think I remember at that point, I remember me telling myself I had to just get away from the boat. And I kind of just started swimming away from the boat. Where I was going to swim to, I don't know, but I just know I didn't want to be there anymore.
Did you remember when you saw us coming? Because I remember when I was in the water swimming toward you in that picture, I went to reach for you, and you kind of like, because I was swimming hard, and my adrenaline was probably through the roof. So, but I do remember when I reached for you to grab your life jacket and swim you back to the boat, you kind of flinched. So what I thought to myself is, she's still pretty coherent.
I remember like seeing the boat, but I think I was just so tired. I was just like
exhausted. You've answered a lot of questions that have always been kind of drove us crazy, because I mean, we're on the ocean we've been on the ocean thousands of days since, tens of thousands probably. I don't even know how many days, 200 days a year for the last 40 years. So.
Yeah.
But I've always said to myself, like, how exactly?
What happened?
What happened? Like, what time? The time frame drove me crazy. Like how long you were in the water for?
Mm-hmm.
When
I mean, it almost was.
Were dead,
it almost was a full 24 hours.
Oh my God.
That's almost. I mean, that's almost a miracle.
It is.
If you're in 60-degree water, it's not like being out in 60. Picture yourself out in 60-degree wind, naked, basically.
Hypothermia.
But water takes your heat away like that. And like I said, I just remember you being a little bit
I was chubby.
So you were chubby.
That's thanks to my mom, my grandma.
That's what saved your life.
Yes.
Lots of good home cooking.
The good homemade Mexican food. Yes.
Oh my God, I know about that. I love that.
But I do remember when we put you on the boat, they put like warm. They took warm water in plastic bags. It's the way you bring back a person's temperature slowly.
Yeah, right.
And I actually remember that, but. As I was telling your son, it felt like sharp.
Yeah,
like my body, my skin was so cold. Like it was. I don't even know how to explain it. Not like a burn feeling. Kind of like. Yeah. It was like awakening my nerves.
Yeah. You do, like when you're super cold and then you put heat to your body. It feels like a burning sensation.
Like, have you gone to those cryo chamber things?
No.
It's kind of like that. I've been in it. It was uncomfortable at first, but then afterwards, it's just mind over matter. But it was kind of like that feeling,
Wow.
It's almost, I don't know who believes in God or who doesn't, but there's almost like some divine intervention here with you in the water for so long. That's a miracle. You two guys decide to stay at the island late.
Right.
Then you go west instead of east, and then you start looking with the binocs. It's almost like
the biggest
somebody
thing,
was protecting.
The biggest thing that I always thought was kind of like an act of God was there was nothing biting. We get on this yellowtail bite, right? And I remember it being at the tuna hole, but he says Sentinel Rock. They're half a mile apart.
Yeah.
But anyway. Remember, I'm younger. I better remember.
I ran the boat though. It was Sentinel Rock because it's a spot that really don't fish too much.
So we sat there for at least 2 hours longer than we would have been.
Yeah.
So if we had left on a regular time, we probably wouldn't have gone there. And knowing what we know now, I mean, it's amazing nobody saw you
there was
prior or but I think the whole thing was that fog. Fog's a dangerous thing on the ocean.
There was a boat that left in front of us a couple hours. I think it might have been a little foggy-ish because he didn't see you. And that's the thing that upset me the most, is that there's no way I'm the last guy coming home and this is here, and no one saw this all day long.
Yeah.
And but like I said, when I noticed that we were on a scene, there has to be something else here. And that's when I looked around and I saw the orange jacket with the head above the orange jacket, and I said, we have a live one. She kept breathing air.
Thank God, huh?
But,
So tell us about you. I know you have kids. I saw a picture on Facebook.
Yeah, because they didn't only say you in a sense. I mean, because you've got a family.
Right.
oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Well, I have 2 fur babies, which are like my children. They were my
course.
first children.
I'm sorry, you're what?
2 fur babies, Sasha and Shabby. They're my huskies that I love so much.
That's crazy. I've had a couple of huskies.
Yeah, one's a rescue, and she just, rescues. If you ever never had a rescue dog, you need to get one because their loyalty and they know when they've been rescued.
Right.
And
they have
the
a
other
lot of
one,
energy, huh?
Yes,
Huskies
lots of energy. They're like children, basically. They chew and destruct too. And then I have a 5-year-old. He's going to be 6, Leo. Wow. And then my stepson, he's 19. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I saw a picture. I wasn't sure who was what or who was who. But you were in a picture with a few women. My wife showed me, and she goes, "Look at it was her," because we weren't sure. I thought when I first got the note, I go, "Well, it might be another Desiree Rodriguez," but.
Well, boys, by the way, when this finishes here, you guys are going to walk outside and be able to meet them, all of them. It's incredible.
I mean, this all happened. We got we're at a young age, and to us, this doesn't really mean a lot. It does mean a lot.
Well, when you're 23 or 4 years old,
things are happening.
I didn't realize you guys were so young, which is like, so.
Yeah, you thought these guys might be
I thought
dead,
they were,
right?
Not dead. I thought maybe older. You don't expect
in all due respect, we
young
should have been
20
older.
something.
We were at the time we were like the youngest captains on the coast for a few years.
Yeah.
I
mean, we were 20 years. He was 20. I was 21 when we got our captain's licenses. So we were, we were just kids. We were kids.
Yeah.
I look at my son now. My son's going to be 23 in a few months, and I look at him, and he just seems like a baby still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything's relative, right?
Yes.
As you get older.
I mean, like 10 years after the fact, after all everything. I mean, I've always wondered, whatever happened to the girl we saved? And even like 10 years ago, every once in a great while, it comes up, and I've always wondered whatever happened.
Now you know.
We've had other rescues. I was telling, he brought up the question like, hey, what have you, have you ever done anything? And then we rescued 2 Pongaro fishermen off of Ensenada that were drifting for 6 or 7. They actually, I was telling, I don't know if you listened to the podcast that he did earlier, but they actually had written their last will and testimony, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They wrote letters to their family saying, I love you and this and that, and we found those guys. But over the years, now it's a little bit different. They have vessel assist, so they're, the communication is better. I mean, we're talking back before GPS.
Yeah.
Like, that was before GPS. That was back before digital radars, back before digital sounders, back before a lot of this technology that helps you locate stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the radars now, you could see birds on the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Like, if someone was looking for you in the fog, they can find you. I mean, we can with our technology, and the military obviously has better technology than us, but, you look at our radars now, like a lot of times when we're looking for fish at night, we turn up the gain so we see birds sitting on like squid nests and stuff, and but that's back when their technology was, just starting to. They were just talking about GPS in the civilian sector.
Yeah.
So
wow. My biggest saddest thing was the fact you lost your whole family.
Yeah, that is something, I guess,
Your
hard
mom,
to deal
your
with
dad,
or understand.
Yeah, your uncle.
And you wonder, or you ask why.
Yeah.
And I'll never have an answer for that.
No.
But
accidents happen. I've known of other accidents, not like not of the as big as what happened to you, but I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been on the ocean just with simple things. They're going out fishing for the day.
Yeah.
And something happened.
Yeah.
It's just, you go out on the ocean and, my dad always told me, respect the ocean.
It's beautiful, but yes,
It's
Powerful.
beautiful, but there's a lot of people that go out every day that
don't come back.
don't really have, well, they come back, and some people, people die out there every year, but, you have to really pay attention. I mean, the fog is a bad thing, the weather, like, there's guys that come into our tackle store and they're buying bait and hooks and they want to go fishing, and we go, hey, did you look at the weather report? We had a guy just a couple days ago from out of state, towed his boat here, wanted to go fishing. We go, hey, there's a storm coming in. And he goes, oh, I'm just going to stay here or there. Well, a few months ago, there was another storm coming in, and some guys came in the shop to buy some stuff, and he go, stay in the breakwater because, and they didn't even realize it. They were from out of state also, and
Right.
they came in to go fishing for the day. He goes, I've been planning this for 6 months. I'm not going to let the wind stop.
Yeah.
I think they were from Oregon or Washington. They go, we have weather all the time. I go, okay.
Yeah, right.
Me and Mark, we've been involved in a lot together, and the people that like Mark was saying, the pongaderos, we come across that. It happens down off Ensenada, but of all the incidents and all the stuff that's happened to in our lives, finding Desiree was like the tops, because the fact, the proof was there. People passed away at this scene.
Yes.
And to find her, made it that.
And to see you now is just like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's answered a lot of questions I've had, and it's answered a lot of questions you've had. But
Did you have any questions for us? I'm just curious.
No.
There's probably not
I'm just
much that we have to,
thankful.
it's just,
No questions.
I'm just blown
Just
away.
thankful.
Man, God.
Well,
you're very welcome. It was an honor to be able to save someone, and to see you now is even like,
Yeah.
it threw me for a loop. It threw me for a
You
loop.
guys
I had
got
no
it.
idea. He goes, you're Hispanic, right?
Right.
You're Latino. You
Right,
I'm waiting for her to start speaking Spanish,
do you speak Spanish?
I can get by. not very fluently. I used to be able to, but
I probably speak
I
better
lost
Spanish than
it.
you.
So the only thing
Yeah,
that would have
that's
messed him up if I spoke fluent Spanish and I started rapping to you. And
I was afraid of that. I was afraid of that. Well, look,
God.
how about this has been such a beautiful moment, but there's another beautiful moment waiting outside, and that's for you two guys who changed her life, saved her life, to go out and meet her family. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
Great. I think